Hi everyone, this is our second video. Today we're going to talk about the next steps after you've done most of your chiseling and kind of planning out your shape. Just a reminder, you have your bench pin or your bench hook here that helps you hold the stone in place. Previously we were using it with chisels and a mallet to kind of create more of the shapes. I feel like I'm at a point now where I don't really want to hit it with a chisel because it's more risky to break it, especially with my negative spaces that I've been working on. So now I'm gonna do more smaller details, and I'm gonna do that using two tools. We have rasps. If you look closely, these have little bumps that stick out. So they take away like a medium amount of material. So they're gonna be my next tool to start taking away material, but in a slower and more controlled way than the chisel. After that, I'm gonna switch to files. So files have more of these indented lines. You can see that they're a little bit smaller than the rasps. So they would take away less detail and start moving towards smoothing. And then thinking ahead, after that, we will move into sanding. So sandpaper, the marks and the texture is even smaller, so it'll get it even closer to that smooth texture. You can probably tell from mine that I've done some like polishing and sanding because you can see it's shiny and very smooth in some places. And just a reminder, as you're working, you can kind of start to see, like at the end of each day, you can start to see the color of the stone by holding it underwater. But you never want to do that during the work period because if water comes into contact with our tools, they start to rust. All right, so let's get started. Looking at my form, and if I'm trying to transform it, I think I have some cool, interesting spots, but there's still places where I see that it came from this rectangular block. I very much see the top of it here. I feel like I need to bring my angles down to take it away from all being at that same block. And I'd say the same thing about the other side. So now's a really good time to start thinking of where I want to take away and how much. So I'm going to start in this groove and just kind of try and make it bigger. Remember, the rasps and the files come in different shapes. So if I want to create a rounded form, I can use the rounded rasp, and then it's going to make this rounded channel. I might also want to use it and then kind of change the direction. So if you notice, now I'm not just holding it in that one direction, I'm kind of moving it to the side. And it starts to change the shape of what you're doing. I can also turn my stone this way if I want to like round it out, and I can come along the front. Now, at first, I was holding it like this, and I was using my rasp. You're better off to utilize the hook of the bench pin, the bench hook, to put your pressure against, because otherwise I'm doing all the work to hold it steady if I'm like this. Whereas here, the bench hook part is really helping you to facilitate that process. So let's say this is enough of a change of shape for me. And remember, we have the half round and the flat too, depending on what your goal is. So I'm gonna get some of that dust away so that I can see it a little better. I've opened it up a little bit more. I'm probably gonna do more, but we'll just move on for the sake of time. Now I'm gonna go with one of my files over all of those little marks that I just created. And you'll see it'll start to take away some of the big grooves and just kind of finish up the surface a little bit better. Okay, now when I get some of that dust out there, you can see it's starting to get it closer to what I want before sanding. So I'm gonna keep going with my rasp to change my shape. File will start to get any of those deep grooves out. And then once I get that with everything, I'll be ready to start sanding.